On diversity and inclusion, selecting the Berkshire Hathaway Incorporation. I want to start by defining diversity in the workplace. Diversity refers to the differences in demographical characteristics as well as psychological characteristics, including values, experiences, and abilities. Diversity in the workplace is not naturally going to happen because of affinity groups and teams. Individuals naturally gravitate towards those like them in many ways. This includes physical attributes, social class identification, and belief and value systems as well. A deeper look into the company of Berkshire Hathaway as an overview. Berkshire Hathaway is an American multinational holding company that is headquartered in Omaha, Nebraska, of the United States. It has holdings where it wholly owns many well named companies that we are familiar with in the general market. They also have other joint holdings where they are the majority shareholder for other companies in the airline industry, food production, financial banking, credit and finance as well. And they are currently at four different airlines, or the largest shareholder in the top three shareholder in another two airlines. Berkshire is led by Warren Buffett, the CEO and president, and Charlie Munger as the vice president. The recent Calvert study designated Berkshire Hathaway as the second to worst company in the S&P 100 for workplace diversity. The company explicitly states it does not consider diversity when directors and board members are selected. According to the Wall Street Journal in 2018, four Berkshire businesses hired new CEOs, and uh, four not new companies, but four companies, and all four of those CEOs were men. Recommendations for Berkshire Hathaway in developing a not only a stated commitment but an exhibited commitment to diversity and inclusion would be to place an emphasis on a commitment to diversity in executive leadership within the holding company by including the appointment of officer, a diversity and inclusion officer or director at the C level, C suite level, CEO level, and board of directors level. Also, I would recommend that they would create a dedicated diversity office that will plan and implement all of their efforts around creating diversity and inclusion. It is important for Berkshire Hathaway not to just have diversity and inclusion at entry levels throughout their company, but also at the board of directors level. It is important. The research shows that true diversity and inclusion comes from the top levels to all the way to the entry levels. Berkshire has an opportunity to influence diversity and inclusion throughout all of its holdings. I would recommend in their wholly owned ventures that they create a diversity office to implement programming to demonstrate their commitment. This office would be utilized to roll out different diversity programming and education, as well as looking at doing the research behind if diversity is really happening throughout the company, as well as on the board of directors level. That is totally in their control. Then also in the companies and ventures that they are the majority shareholder, they can review the diversity rating of each holding and work with those those companies to ensure diversity and inclusion is at work. This would also fall under the creation of a diversity office to implement the programming. Then, lastly, I would recommend in companies that they are a minority shareholder, they can create a knowledge based can create knowledge based programming that teach diversity and inclusion to each of those companies' leadership, and they can host those. Many of these efforts they can partner with local universities around the globe to actually implement, to design and implement the training programs, because we know that education and knowledge and bringing awareness about diversity does help diversity form and people's opinion change about diversity and inclusion. But not just the knowledge base alone, but also providing mentoring and support. For example, um, Intel in Silicon Valley was the leader in wanting to create diversity and inclusion in Silicon Valley and was the perfect example. They invested in recruiting and training, offering training for women in the STEM subjects to get more women involved in the STEM projects for their technology, as well as they implemented a mentoring program for their executive level where diversified as well as inclusionary members of their team that were in more entry level and middle management program actually mentored executive employees so that they could have a learning opportunity. These are just a few examples. Thank you for viewing my presentation.